looting here in the UK not so long ago, and people and the Prime Minister came out how bad this was. This is a criminal act, etc., etc. Put him in jail. Now he's gone ahead and been responsible for the looting of Libya, the looting of Afghanistan, the looting of Iraq,
which is far worse.
To name a few, and the murdering of at least 1 million people in all those actions. And which is a criminal? Who's a criminal? Who should be locked up? Who should be hung, drawn, and quartered? And so everything is just upside down. It's crazy.
Yeah, but you can't really, point fingers to the one who's doing it now because they're so powerful.
Well, you
can't even point fingers at the President of the United States, for example, because they're immune to everything.
It's just
even after if they've left the office, they're still bloody immune. You can't do nothing.
Yeah. I tell you what it's like. It is as though, like, for instance,
the Illuminati is supporting them.
Yeah, they own the media, and of course the Illuminati are the ones who basically control and do all the funding, if you want. And if you say anything against them, you're either, depending who it is, if you're talking about the relationship with Israel, then you're saying you're anti-Semitic. Then if you're pointing a finger, then you're a terrorist. Simple as. Now, with everything that's happened now, practically every human being living on this planet is a potential terrorist. And what do terrorists do? They put, whatever it is, gunpowder in their underwear and try to explode them on aeroplanes. It's a joke. It goes beyond the joke. But yet, people are so naive that we believe it because we're not being taught to think independently. We only think according to what we've learned from Hollywood movies or through the news. People don't have their own opinions. Generally, people don't have their own opinions. Their opinions are formed from what they are told. So their reality is based on what they are told. And I think I mentioned before, we talk about make-believe. And the expression make-believe is exactly that. You're made to believe something. And you believe that thing to be true, but in fact it's totally it's false.
Okay, because we're coming close to the end of this radio show, and I just want to touch base with this very sensitive subject. As you know, we just had the commemoration of the 9/11, the 10th year. It's very, very sad. But I just want you to sort of picture this for a moment. Imagine that whatever that you've been told is not true. Imagine that those two planes that hit the Twin Towers were not terrorists. Imagine that everything that happened is not because of the terrorists. Now imagine that, right? Now, imagine also that the reality of the whole thing is due to the careful planning of the government, and they sort of bombed the two towers because, as you know, you've seen several conspiracy about the towers. They were hit and they fell. But they didn't sort of they didn't fall lopsidedly, but they just fell as though there was like bomb in every floor, so it gradually goes down. And also, it's quite important to think that there are several buildings within its vicinity which wasn't hit by any chance, and it fell down as well. And it's like it's like it was bombed. The way that it fell, if that makes any sense. And it just fell and fell. What's that got to do with sorry, my question is, how could it fall to the ground when it wasn't hit by the plane? It's just not making sense. It's like if I throw a stone to a building, would I expect that building to fall?
Mhm.
I don't think
It's
so.
yeah.
You know,
There's too many aspects that show that what is reported and what people have been led to believe isn't all the truth.
yeah, and
Now,
also okay, fine. There will be loads of people. Yes, I have to admit there were about 3,000 people who died on that day, which is something that no one can condone. Okay, it's human life, and I'm being very serious. I think that's very very bad. But in retrospect, you have to understand that the government is probably willing to do that to get more reward, if that makes any sense. I mean, look at Pentagon for example. Um, there's no sign of any aircraft whatsoever that hit, when it hit the Pentagon. It was just like a small little hole, which
mhm,
didn't even fit a jetliner. There's no
that's
way,
right.
But why are they telling stories about an aircraft hitting the Pentagon? And why is it all happening? I don't understand this, And there is this there's this what's it movie United 93 or something, whatever it's called. Um,
Mm.
what if it's all full of lies?
Well,
Who
it
who
is.
is to blame? How whoever, if it's full of lies, filled with lies, whoever that actually plans this, how do they sleep at night?
They sleep quite soundly because they believe the world populations are idiots. They have their bases covered, media, etc. So they think it's okay. Now, like, there's not even too much point looking at these things, Building 7 and the missile that hit the Pentagon. It's almost,
Missile that hit the Pentagon. I like that.
yeah,
So
what
you've
it is.
concluded that it wasn't a plane.
Well, the thing is, it's
So
not really
so
important.
they said it was a plane and it's a registered uh, airliner. So if it's a registered airliner, where did that airline go? Where did that plane go? That
The
the one
thing,
that flew out of the airport?
it's not really important. There's so much
How
research
come it's
done.
not at the airport? Because there's people in that aircraft.
Let me explain. It's very interesting that to this day. Let's take John F. Kennedy for example, where they said this guy Lee Harvey Oswald shot him, and everyone knows it wasn't him. Everyone knows. The bullet didn't come from this. Everyone knows. But does it change the event? Does it change history? The fact that everyone knows it was a setup? No, it doesn't. In
Mm.
this case, what was the result of these events? Yes, countries were invaded, millions or million at least have died. So we can talk about the lies and individual bits and pieces, and it has been done and it's all been documented. So now we have to really just stand back and understand what's taken place. Yes, it's a cover up. What's the result of it? This is the result of it. What's the next step? What do they plan?
Mm.
Too many people now are still, let's say, arguing about whether, say, Building 7 collapsed by fire, whatever. Everyone knows because you just have to watch it. It was blown up, so there's no questions there. The whole thing is a cover up. That's it. So
Cover up for what?
that's right, and that's the questions we have to be asking. Is
People
why?
have been saying about Enron stuff, all the dodgy things that they've been doing prior to 9/11, and
Yeah.
because they've been doing loads of insider trading. In fact, there were loads of records of
Mm,
some massive buyouts or something in the stock exchange. They
mm-hmm,
sort of knew something would happen, and they're trying to make profit out of it through
mm-hmm.
derivatives. I don't really quite understand all this financial mumbo jumbos, but they seem to be making loads of money out of it.
Yeah, yeah. It basically money, but what I'm saying, we shouldn't be, we shouldn't concern ourselves too much with the details of whether it was a plane or it wasn't a plane, but because it takes only 5 minutes literally to see that there is a cover up, there is something untoward going on there. And so, okay, so what is the purpose of it, the event? And then you see the purpose of it, and then we can move on and really look at the big motivation, what's going to happen next. So we're looking at things like, so they've taken over three countries or something, as two or three countries as a direct result. They blamed Saddam Hussein. It wasn't Saddam Hussein. He didn't have the weapons. He wasn't involved with Al Qaeda. They created Al Qaeda, and blah 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 blah. So how are we able to defend ourselves against the wishes of the oligarchs? Because it looks like the way things are going that they just want total control of the population of mankind.
Yeah, so you have no say to do anything. Basically,
right.
You just have to be like a sitting duck.
Yeah, that's right. And for many people, that's what they are. They just sit and they wait for things to happen, and then they react. Whereas people have also the opportunity. We all have the opportunity to actually find out what is going on in this world and who we are, and why do we have the laws that we have, and what gives authority to the so-called authorities. You ask those questions, the answers are surprising. Then the world changes, and it's through this change, and I think that's going on right now. There are many people are beginning to wake up as to what is reality and what is the fiction. Because
but you just said that as normal human being, as citizens of the world, you just simply can't do nothing with the oligarchs because they just do whatever they want. So even this conversation, is being done. There's nothing. It just wouldn't impact them at all. They can still freely do whatever they like.
Let me just say.
So
the only reason they have power is because the ignorance of mankind. That's how they have power. Keep us in ignorance, and then they're able to do whatever. It's like how a farmer is able to control, 100 or 200 sheep or so many cows, because we view them as being dumb, idle animals and there to be just controlled. In the same way they view us, but we're different because we are actually sentient human beings, man. We have the ability to think outside the box, and but the opportunity has been taken away from us slowly but surely. Today there are more people who are able to think outside the box, think outside the matrix, and are able to say, well, I don't want this. These laws, so-called legal laws, do not apply to me. And and then they're taking back their own power. That's it. And that's the worst thing. That's the worst enemy they have, is people who are actually able to stand up for their rights as natural men and women on this planet.
Right.
But we will slowly see change, because it's not as been as easy as they think it would be. So they're having problems as well, because people are waking up. Look at the financial situation where people are, they've ripped enough people off, and people are waking up. So Iceland was one. It was brilliant. They say, hey, no, this is not going to happen. And everyone's looking at Iceland now 2 years later. Hey, they're doing okay. You should have done the same as them.
Okay. Interesting. Okay, so I think we've come to the end of this wonderful session. Guys, if you truly enjoyed us, we truly appreciate your feedback, and just let us know through the comments and Twitter posts or whatever, and tell us about your thoughts and opinions. If you have anything that you want us to discuss, then let us know as well. We'd love to hear from you. And with no further ado, myself, Sean, and Brian Whistle Twice is saying goodbye for now.